All right, cool. All right, is everyone ready? Everyone got their laptops, notebooks, whatever you need? Right, okay, perfect. My name's Sam Venning. Most of you have actually probably never heard of me. Reason being, I don't ever do this. Did it more as a favor for Jordan, just because I really respect him, his journey, and kind of everything he's put on the line to do this. So basically, number one, everyone always thinks I'm Australian. I don't know why, I'm actually British. So, every time someone introduces me, they always think I'm Australian. I've been doing digital marketing now since the age of 18, so just over a decade. I started dropshipping in late 2016. My first ever product, I did 200K revenue in the first 5 days. And I had a full-time job. I would just come home. I would make funnels in the evening. And I didn't have any product or anything. I just wanted to learn how to scale ads mainly. And I had one and I just kept scaling it. And I would get home from work, look at the Shopify dashboard and that when I was using ClickFunnels. And it just kept going up, up and up. And then after 5 days, I had to stop scaling it, didn't have any product, and lost a bunch of money, but a really good learning experience. After that, I scaled my first $1 million brand in 2 months. Again, I completely fucked it up, not learning, getting too greedy, trying to scale too quickly. And then after that, I actually got fired from my job. For having a side business. I would never do anything at work, but they found out I had a side business and they fired me, and that was the day before my options vested. So I left with nothing, which fucking sucked. But again, great learning experience. And then kind of after that, I started to get my stuff together. I scaled one of the world's fastest growing hair care brands. I got it to $1 million a month inside the first 2 months and pretty much kept it there for about 7 months. Now it's just one offer, right? You can keep doing that. And now recently, 6 months ago, I co-founded a company called eCommerce. And basically all we do is we basically build brands. So a lot of what I'm going to be showing you today is how this company works. So the reason why we started eCommerce is because we needed a longer term goal and a longer term view of what we wanted to be doing as a company. And the issue with dropshipping, it's too short term, right? It's not sustainable. I know a lot of guys have been talking about that today. But I'm going to show you the exact model we use to finance the company. And to build it, to make sure the shipping, the procurement and everything is perfect, and then what you're going to be doing to create your brands, right? So ideally, basically, you're going to be learning what it takes to go from 0 to 7 figures inside, hopefully for most of you, 6 months. You're going to be learning about the systems and the processes that go along with it. It's something that is mostly ignored. This stuff is not the sexy stuff for e-commerce, right? And it's the stuff most people don't like. Most people like scaling ads, right? Because that's the fun shit to do and seeing the money come in. But no one likes to talk about supply chains, right? People don't really like talking about building a team. No one ever talks about the risk, ever. It just gets fucking ignored. And again, the king for all of this is cash flow, right? If you don't have cash, you don't have a business. So most of you are going to be familiar with this. Actually, I hope all of you are familiar with this. So this is your traditional dropshipping model, right? You drive traffic, go to a landing page, use AliExpress, and you get money at the end of it, okay? So the reason why dropshipping is and always will be a brilliant business model, it's getting harder, but the low barrier to entry for people is fantastic, okay? It's low risk. You really don't need that much to get started, and it's pretty easy to generate money, right? The reason why, you can just throw out offers, you can test a lot, okay? Some people struggle to get started, but generally, I'm sure most of the guys that are doing, say, 50 to 100 grand a month, it's usually pretty easy to stay there once you crack it at the start. The downside, also the low barrier to entry, right? I think Pete was talking about it, where with dropshipping, everyone just rips everyone's shit, okay? You have a high churn rate, no customers ever come back, right? Because you're just running offers and you're running direct response. The customer experience sucks. You tend as well, as an entrepreneur, you tend to live paycheck to paycheck, right? So if your store has a bad month, you tend to have a pretty bad month as well, okay? The products tend to suck. You tend to get high chargebacks. It's not sustainable. And I really hate when people call drop shipping a business. It's not a business, it's a hobby, it's a side hustle, whatever you want to call it. It's not long term. Okay, so really to get started, you want to try to hit consistently about a 5K revenue at about a 15% net. If you can do that, you're making $750 a day, right? And the idea is behind this, you just want to build cash, okay? And monthly, you're going to make about 22.5 grand, right? Which you can keep doing this, you can live month to month, and you could have a really, really good life earning 250 grand a year, right? That's more than most people would ever dream of earning, okay? The issue with your traditional dropshipping model is once the ad stops, everything stops, right? You no longer make any money. And also, real business is all about reciprocal value exchange, okay? So with drop shipping, and by reciprocal value exchange, the exchange has to go two ways, okay? So you're giving a great experience, a great product to a customer, and in return, you're receiving money, okay? And the idea is if you keep doing that and you do that at a very high level, the customer will keep coming back. However, drop shipping, it's all one way, right? You kind of almost deceive a customer into an offer or into a product that you've never even touched yourself. You have no idea if it's good, right? The best you can do is look at reviews on AliExpress, right? And then you send it to them with like no real incentive for them to come and shop again, right? Everyone's trying to make money off of the first purchase, which as we all know, as CPMs go up, it gets harder because your margins get tighter. So ideally for this step, in your first 30 to 60 days, right, you want to try and just be steadily profitable, okay? If you can try and make $750 a day for that number of days, you can essentially start to move on to the next step, right? The reason why you want to be steadily profitable for just that time frame, mainly because you're proving concept, right? Like, is this like a short-term success? I see too many people that scale up super quickly. They get super naive and they'll go and spend all the money, right? They just think that's it, right? Their life's set and they're ready to go. But the problem is, over a 60-day period, you're gonna find certain challenges that you have to overcome. And that's really what most of business is about. And owning a business is how you overcome problems and troubleshooting, okay? So ideally, like I mentioned, you just want to use this as a base to generate cash for the long term, right? That is your goal. You don't want anyone else putting money in, because I personally, I want full control of my business. I don't want anyone else to have skin in the game, okay? So I basically use this, and this is only 6 months ago I started implementing this model, right? Started 2 new stores, and basically just using them to build my war chest, okay? So just to get started, I know so many dudes that have dropshipping stores, females also, that have dropshipping stores that don't even have an LLC. If you get sued, you are fucked, right? Like absolutely buggered. You want to make sure you have a line of credit. If you can, get a good line of credit, because again, your issue comes if you scale, right? Most people don't think about like the economics behind scaling. If you want to make 100 grand a day, how do you do that? If you don't have a line of credit, you're going to really struggle. Because you're not just thinking about the line of credit, especially if you're using AliExpress at the start, you're having to pay for those products up front, right? You're not using a third party that's floating you cash, okay? You're gonna want at least to start, usually a $10,000 investment and a business bank account that is not your own. The reason why, when it comes to doing taxes, it is a nightmare to do. So make sure if you've not done it, try to do all of those things. And then the other thing as well, with your $10,000 investment, to start, I'm guessing most of you have experience in this. This is why I put this on the slide. You kind of want a VA sidekick, right? You want somebody that you're going to bring into the business that you are going to teach everything. They're going to know the business just as well as you, okay? And so basically what you're looking to do, the reason why you want the sidekick to kind of come in and work with you is as you start to work, right, as you start launching your ads, campaigns, fulfilling yourself, doing customer service, you're going to start learning the processes and systems of what it takes to run a basic dropshipping business, okay? So as you're doing that, you're going to get your tacit knowledge, and that's knowledge that is hard to kind of transfer, and you're going to get it down on paper. You're going to record your processes, okay? Use videos. So even just as simple as like fulfilling a product, make a video on it, right? And then you can basically link that onto your, essentially this is going to be a business Bible, right? And then you're going to record your KPIs, key performance indicators. So everything is numbers driven. So that way, when you hire somebody, you know if you can fulfill, say 300 products in a day using I don't know, Oberlo, whatever it is, the software, you know that your VA sidekick, they're responsible, right? And they have numbers to go by. Same way with like answering customer service emails. If you've been doing it for 2 weeks and you know the number of tickets you need to be closing a day, right? You've got that all written down. So everybody you hire immediately becomes accountable, right? And also, you know the whole business inside out, and this person is going to become arguably your most important asset later on in the process. So essentially, right, just to kind of get things started, make sure you have Slack if you don't already. It's a very, very good communication tool. It's something we use. I wouldn't use anything else. And the great thing is, if you do any sort of outsourcing, like we've used eComvids in the past. I know John's here today who owns it. You can merge channels, so you don't have to worry too much. Like you can communicate and collaborate really, really easily. I know Jordan doesn't like it, but we use Trello. I love Trello, but again, like don't let it go overboard. Try and keep it clean. Try and keep it simple when you're setting tasks. We also use Google Drive, again, just as a server for file storage. And the other thing we do, I was actually amazed. Last month, I started asking people how they communicated with their VAs, right, to make that a better process. Most people don't even video call with their VAs, right, which is mind-blowing. Like I know some people that will only ever speak to their VAs through chat, and they've had them for like a year, right? That is not what you want to do. Remember, if you have a team in the US, don't treat these people differently, right? Treat them like people. Look after them, like, this is the start of your company, and make sure that your culture bleeds through from the top to the bottom. Even if these people are 8,000 miles away, look after them, right? To give you an example, we have 28 VAs out in the Philippines. End of Q3, we sent them all on vacation together for a weekend. We get them together every quarter. They have dinner together. We do monthly awards, so we give away prizes to the best VAs each and every month as well, right? Like we really, really look after them, and our churn rate is 0. None of our VAs ever leave, and they work really, really hard. The average VA puts in, I think it's about 75 to 80 hours a week, right? And these people have families a week. They work really, really hard. We pay them very well. That's another thing, right? Pay these people well. But to start, right, remember this person is going to be dispensable. If you hire somebody and they suck, you can get rid of them. It's okay, right? But remember, this person who's coming in is going to be a ninja for you, right? And I'll explain why. Okay, so this is kind of step 1.1. If you start doing kind of, say, 50, 100 grand, it's going to vary, right, a month. But essentially, you're going to want to get a video editor as soon as possible, mainly because it's a hard skill. Most people don't have it. I definitely recommend you learn it, because again, every skill you have, it just means you can hold this person accountable. If you don't know how to edit videos, how do you know how long it's going to take them, right? So that way, when you're actually setting tasks and you're going to be communicating directly with this person here, you know exactly what to expect of them, right? Or you should be expecting more because they should be quicker, okay? So that way, if you're wanting to do 3 products a day, how do you know someone can make 3 products or 3 videos, right? And then what's going to start happening is, like most of you, you're going to have a lot of inbound email. You're going to need a customer service team, right? This person is going to become overwhelmed very quickly. And the problem is, you're going to want this person to launch products. You're going to want this person to potentially launch ads, right? You're going to want them to learn every facet of the business. If they're only doing customer service, they can't do that. So you want to make sure you're having people come in, answering emails, cleaning comments on Facebook. We get most of our winning products from our customer service team. They're brilliant, and they're always sending us products. We usually get 2 to 3 different products we can test a day just from our customer service team, and they get pumped about finding these new products, right? So next is kind of the step 2, right? Once you get to that point of making money over a 30, ideally a 60-day period, okay, you're going to basically start to bring it to the next level. The reason why, if you go back to the kind of the reciprocal value exchange of a business, is you want to improve the customer service experience, but also like you want to make more money. You want to make this easier for you, okay? I've grown businesses before where we're getting 1,000 orders a day and they're all being fulfilled through AliExpress. That's a horrendous job, right? It's not nice. So ideally, basically, the way our model now works with most of our drop shipping is cold traffic, again, AliExpress to test, right? Once we get validation of a product, and that means it scales, right? Not that it just made a few sales and you made good ROAS off $50 a spend. This is usually $1,000 to $5,000 of investment, right? We will then we will procure the product, okay? And we will try and buy as much of the product as we can, depending on demand, okay? And then we will fulfill it. So we have our own warehouse, or we work with a warehouse partner in Shenzhen in China, and then usually they'll use ePacket, right, and ship it to the customer, okay? What this gives us, it gives us way better control of the product, right? Every product that comes in gets inspected, right? If we do, if I'm selling this remote, they'll take it out, they'll put the batteries in it, make sure it works, right? That way, you're having very few issues with the customer. So our customer support team, there's less pressure on them. There's lower chargebacks because the product is generally what's described, okay? And as well, you're getting better margins because you're getting economies of scale. So before, traditionally, right, you may be getting 15% net. Here, you should hopefully get around about an 18% net, right? Most of you should do better than this. But again, if you're doing 18% net of 10K of revenue a day, it's $1,800 in profit, right? So the downsides to using this model is you're usually gonna start to run into issues with liquid cash, okay? Because you're procuring your own product, right? So there is risk being taken, okay? It's calculated risk because you've already ran the numbers and you've got the data from your ads, but you're going to procure a certain amount of products. Usually an MOQ for a product in China, depending if you're buying it from a manufacturer, could usually start in like the 500s range. If you get it from wholesalers, it's usually not as much, and you can go down to the single digits, right? And again, we're getting same day fulfillment, right? We get prioritized, we get a lot of love from our fulfillment centers because we do high volume, right? But even if not, you can get it written into the contracts that they'll do same day fulfillment, okay? Which basically means, you don't know. As soon as you fulfill something on AliExpress, it could be 3 weeks, right, before they fulfill it, right? They have all the power. We as consumers on AliExpress have zero power, right? And so it's just a bad business model, and you're always asking for trouble, especially if you're scaling using AliExpress, right? So the sooner you can get a partner in China, right, and work with them. If any of you guys are doing any sort of volume over 10 grand a day, I'm more than happy to intro you to my guy. If not, I'm still happy to intro you to him. I have a guy out in China. He's Irish. He's super trustworthy. I've been working with him for 2 years. I've had zero issues. A year and a half ago, he flew out to China like 2 days before Christmas because we had a fulfillment issue and he solved it, right? That's like, they're the kind of people I want to work with and have working around my business, okay? But we still have the issue, right? Like, you can get caught holding stock. So if you do buy 1,000 pieces of something and your ads die, you've got a lot of stock that you're holding. So that's money that can be tied up. It's still not a very sustainable business model. And again, I still don't really see this as a business. It's a better business than the previous model, but it's still not a business, okay? And other issues you're going to run into, I did mention it with cash flow, is holds, right? How many of you guys have had issues with like PayPal, Stripe? Okay. So it's actually, you're all going to run into this issue, right? And so the number I took from down here, right, the money you're going to be making a month. So if you're doing 300K in revenue a month, okay, and you're going to be making 54 grand. Out of that 54,000, right, I've had it before. The money comes in. PayPal puts 20%, 10% hold for 90 days, right? You're not seeing that money for 90 days. Then Stripe can just shut down anytime it wants. Too much power, right? So Stripe can just say, hey, we're going to hold another 30K, right? Then you've got to find another mid as well. And you could potentially be investing, say, 20 grand in products, okay? That could potentially leave you with like negative 32,000 in cash flow, okay? But that's why we run that first model to build up, so we have a war chest, so we're prepared for like the worst outcome, right? You've got to make sure the economics of your business are sound, right? And put your business up before yourself, because if you don't, you won't have a business left. It'll be gone within months, okay? And so kind of to prepare you for this phase, once you get to that, okay, I have validation of my business, you're going to want to go and get multiple mids, okay? And by that, so Stripe is a mid or a merchant processor. You want to go to Chase, go to Bank of America and sign up, and they will give you merchant processing, okay? You can still use it with upsell apps, right? So don't worry about that. It's not as clean. It's not as the user experience isn't as good as it is with something like Stripe, and it takes time. You have to provide documents. However, you can get, so Stripe is, I think, 2.9% and 30 cents a transaction, right? If you're going with Chase, I get, because of the volume that we do, I get I think it's 1.5% and 5 cents a transaction. If you're doing over $1 million a month, that's gonna be saving you like the best part of 20 or 30 grand, right? Just straight out of the gate. It's a huge, huge saving, okay? And as well with multiple mids, you're getting protection. So if one of your mids gets shut down for whatever reason, if your Stripe goes, you just plug another one straight in and you're good to go. You don't have to wait for 10 or 14 days, or you don't have to try and fake documents or get co-signers for a Stripe account, right? It's done very quickly. You're also going to want large and multiple lines of credit. Again, you're trying to diversify risk. The reason why you want to use credit cards for ads is because you need your cash, right? You want to free up as much liquid cash in the business as possible so it can go elsewhere, okay? Chase have really good offers. Bank of America have decent offers. Their points aren't as good, but they're good. They'll give you a good line of credit, especially if you bank with them. And Amex as well, the Amex Gold Card. Those three are usually my go-to. Again, this is where you're going to want to start to get a warehousing partner, right? Someone who is in China, and basically what they're going to do is offer you, at the start they won't, but they will start offering you 30-day net on payments, right? So again, you have more cash freed up in the business, okay? And they'll throw in other perks, right? So the one thing we do like custom packaging, like custom bags and everything. So when somebody gets a package in the mail from us, they know it's from us before they even open it, right? So just little things like that boost the customer experience, and they throw in all of that for free for us, right? Because of the volume that we do. But even if you want to improve the customer experience, because it's all being done in China, it's pennies, right? It's so little. The other thing we're doing as well, getting ready to purchase things in bulk, right? So usually, if you're going direct to a manufacturer, you're going to pay at least 20% up front, right? Possibly 50% if it's your first deal. And then you'll pay 80% or the other 50% on finished goods, right? So just making sure that before you make this, I've made the mistake in the past, right? We purchased, I think it was about $200,000 of makeup, and we did not have the cash to do it, right? We paid 20% up front, and the rest was due on delivery. It was a 6-week period for us to make that money, and we didn't do it, right? That was the end of one of my businesses. Just like that, right? Because we took a stupid risk for something that if we'd actually kept going on it now and doing it properly, we burned customers and everything to try and get the money, right? Stupid idea, would never recommend doing it, but this is the thing, you've got to make sure, the reason why we got into that situation, because we kept taking too much money out of the business, okay? And then the other thing you're going to start doing as well, building your VA team, right? Making sure that if you're getting to a point where you're doing like 10, 15 grand a day, that you're not answering things like customer service emails, right? Your job as a founder is to innovate and to make sure that you're making money, right? If you're doing stupid jobs for the sake of saving $500 a month, again, you do not have a business, right? You've got a hobby, and you're never going to grow. Right, you're going to hit a ceiling because you're not willing to train people on things, right? It's better to invest in good people early, because then when either issues happen or you want to grow, you have the ability to do that, right? And then the other thing I would start doing at this, I like to have second stores. So we run more of a beauty store and then a general store, right, for our drop shipping stores. And what we'll tend to do is if something works on one store, we'll actually put it on the other store. They're basically exactly the same store, exactly the same functionality, just with a different logo. But what it's allowing us to do is spread the risk and specialize, okay? So now you get to this point, right? This is what your VA team should start to look like, okay? So you've got procurement, you're gonna have someone, ideally, you can do it in the US. I prefer to use China, I save a lot more money, okay? But you're gonna have procurement and your video editor. These guys are gonna always talk directly to you, okay? Reason being, it takes a lot of knowledge to know how to make good direct response ads, and this person is just not going to have the experience, right? It took me like 5 or 6 years to get good to know what I'm looking at to make a decent ad, okay? It just takes too long to teach that to someone who does operations, but ideally you can teach this person within 6 months, and they'll know what to do, right? They'll find all the video, they'll do everything you need. You won't have any problems, right? But again, take the time to train your people properly. Get on the phone with them, right? Don't just expect them to know what to do. And then what we basically then do is we will promote from within. So then we'll have a head of customer service, okay? Takes the pressure off of this person. So they're reporting, their KPIs are baked into what all of the customer service people are doing, okay? And then they report directly to the operations. And then you're gonna have PayPal uploaders. There are apps where you can upload the tracking to PayPal, but we pay uploaders because they can do it quicker, right? So it's actually cheaper for someone to manually upload tracking numbers. And then we also have our product creation team. So they're going through, they're writing all the copy for the products, they're getting all the images done, right? Our team's slightly different to this, but in terms of where you're at that stage, for you to be able to innovate and to make sure the problems are being solved in the business from day to day, these are the people you're gonna need in your business, okay? You can potentially train your customer service team. If you're not getting enough volume, train people to do 2 jobs at once, right? That's more than easy to do. And again, if this person leaves, I know this person can come in and take that job, right? I want people who have lots of different skills. It's better for them because they feel more fulfilled in their job, but it's better for us because we're safer as a business, right? Then if we lose someone, we're just not left with nothing, okay? So ideally now, right, you're getting to this point where you're starting to make good money, okay? And you're gonna be scaling, it's gonna be dying, it's gonna be scaling, right? Drop shipping, just by nature, is very up and down, okay? You don't really get any compounded revenue streams, okay? But you're gonna try to do this for about 6 months, okay? Build up as much money as you can, pay yourself as little as you can, right? Don't try and flex on your friends because it only takes 1 bad month and you've lost it all, right? And you look really fucking stupid. So, build cash flow in the business and build something for the long term, right? Like, I really mean that. Again, you can take money out at this point, right? But take as little out as you can. Because that way, if you have a bad month, you don't have to let anyone go in the business, okay? You can keep everyone and you can keep your team. Because again, you spent a lot of time training these people. The last thing you want to do is get rid of them, okay? Because it's a pain in the ass to retrain people. So this now, right, this is currently our model, okay? Basically, we test products for drop shipping, we scale them, okay? But now we try to think about long-term sustainability, okay? The reason why is because drop shipping, I don't want to keep doing it forever. I don't want to have people keep researching products and everything, right? It's a hard business model to run at scale, right? We do between $1 million to $2 million a month just with drop shipping, okay? And it's a lot of work all the time, right? And it takes a lot of care, a lot of attention, just to make sure things are running as we want them to do. But basically what you're doing, right, you're taking this first model and then you're investing that money into your brands, okay? So basically what you're looking to do is now you're looking to make the business sustainable. It's still low risk, right? Traditional e-commerce would mean you'd have to say invest 25 to 50 grand in a brand, right? Doing that when you don't have the money is impossible, right? Or it's gonna take you 4 or 5 years to grow this brand into anything where you can start taking money out of it, okay? So what you've essentially done here, in 6 months, you've raised yourself a really good seed round of funding, okay? So if you've basically got 300-400K in the bank, you have a safety net for a year to cover all of your overheads, okay? And you also have enough money to invest in multiple brands, okay? So your first brand you're gonna start, usually, for me, it takes about 3 months to develop a brand, right? That's from idea to getting it ready, product market, to getting it ready to deliver to the market. But the idea is, they're gonna grow slowly, okay? That's the bad thing is brands don't have as much flexibility because you tend to be stuck with what you've got, right? But the idea is once you invest in it, you're gonna have enough skills and you're gonna know how to grow a business easily enough that you can take those skills and apply it into branding, right? But it's slower. It's gonna be a lot slower. And if in the first year, it doesn't make any money, if you break even, it's fine, right? Because it's growth, right? That's what you want, growth. And then that way, if you retain 30% of your customers through the second year, you technically have then 30% more revenue coming in, and then you can still run all of your traffic at break even, okay? The other cool thing with brands, right? We do a lot of cross promotion. between brands. So for example, if you've got like an exercise apparel brand and a t-shirt brand, you can cross promote between them, right? And you can actually start to really build something. Whereas I'm sure if any of you have tried building a brand through drop shipping, after about 6 weeks when customers start to get their product, it's just negative, right? All negative, bad comments. So you tend to stay away from that, okay? So here, right, you're getting to this point, and ideally with your first brand, you want to try to be hitting about 20K in revenue a day, right? So that's going to be about 3,600. And again, you're just bringing in more money that you can then invest in more brands, okay? So our goal really is to try and launch 4 new brands a year, okay? Out of those brands, if 2 of them fail, it's fine, because we have the money to invest, and one of those is going to probably take off, and one of them is just going to be a cash cow where we keep a low revenue, say 100 to 500 grand a month, but it will always make us money, right? So really, right, why do you want to go down the branding route? Is mainly because of an exit, okay? So it's really simple, right? I know like this is a scary figure for a lot of people, like getting a brand to $1 million, but if you can grow a legit brand to $1 million, you can exit it really, really, really easily, okay? And you can, so for example, if you have a subscription brand, you could exit it for usually 3, depending on how hot the brand is, 3 to 8x of your revenue, okay? For non-subscriptions, can usually go between 1 to 2x, right? If you look at like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, their next big play is micro brands, right? They see what's happening. That fly went in my mouth. Sorry, I apologize. So you see what's happening in the market, right? Like micro brands are the future of online retail, and so they really see a huge opportunity, right? They don't want to build the brands because it's the hardest part. But if you get a brand to $1 million, you can cash out really easily, okay? And once you get past that point of making like 5-10 grand a day, scaling is really the easy part of the business, okay? So what you're usually going to do to prepare, you're going to have multiple LLCs, right? So if one brand gets sued, the others are all safe. You don't want to take any risks, okay? You're going to then start bringing in a local team, usually in the US. The reason why we've started to do this is we find the guys in the Philippines are fantastic, or most VAs are fantastic, and they're very task-driven, okay? However, they're not great at critical thinking. So what we want to do is we want to bring people in that are critical thinkers, but also with brands, the future is all about creative, okay? It really is. If you can build really good creative, your brand at some point or another is going to be successful. You can make it more successful by being a good media buyer, right? You can help it grow quicker, but if you produce great content that adds value to somebody, it's going to be successful, okay? Again, same thing, product and brand development. You can go in, right? You can produce your own brand. If you want to say do makeup, it's so fucking easy, right? It's not a daunting process. It's really, really, really simple. You know, like to do it all, like worst case scenario, you get a CAD designer, you get a mold made, and you get some product put into it, okay? Like don't stall on it, because this takes a long time. Like 3 months just to develop a product usually, right? To get it where you're happy with it. And then again, making sure like you have a warehousing line of credit. So basically the way that we work, we don't have any warehousing in the US. We do it straight from China. All of our brands will ship to the US in 4 to 5 days. Okay, like we don't have any long e-packet or anything, and our shipping, I think it's about double the cost of e-packet, which for a brand, well worth the investment, right? I'm happy to lose my margin because the customer experience is better, right? My packaging looks legit. All the labels, there's no Mandarin, there's no e-packet label in the corner, right? Like it's from DHL, it's all in English, okay? As well, the other thing you want to start thinking about is getting a tax attorney, because this is, you're starting to get to the point now where you're probably going to be making multiple millions a year. And the last thing you really want to be doing is paying, 35, 40% or whatever that is to the tax man, or getting double taxed. Like I've had that before where, my business may maybe make, say, like $1 million in profit, and then what I take also gets taxed, right? And you think about that, that's just so much money going to the tax man which I don't want to do. I want to keep as much money as I can, okay? So trying to find someone that will save you money, but they will also give you peace of mind, right? And they will help you set up your company properly so you're protected, but also pay as little legally in tax as you can, okay? So eventually, right, this is what your team is going to look like. Excuse the really bad icons. I kind of ran out of good ones to use. But eventually, right, you've got your team in the Philippines. We currently have 28 people out in the Philippines now. And like I said, they are all really happy and we really look after them. Like, I really mean that. If you look after your guys out there, they will treat you very, very, very well. They're super ethical, but if you don't, they're just going to leave like any job, okay? And then out here, so we have a media buyer. Usually you're going to start having 2-3 media buyers, but we have, media buyer, videographer. Either have a videographer come in or outsource it. It is outsourceable, but you need to find a company that will do it for you right, okay? Because it's making direct response videos is hard work. You need a company that has that skill set. We also have somebody in the US that does influencer outreach. So their full-time job is pretty much finding larger influencers that we can work with and collaborate with. And then the other thing you're going to have, right, you're going to have a bookkeeper, somebody who making sure, like, don't rely on Autometrics because it's really a great piece of software for day to day, but long term, it's a real big mistake. The only number that ever matters is the amount of cash you have in the bank, right? Because Autometrics will say that you've made, say, $1 million in profit, but if you've got holds and you've got everything else, you may only have 200 G's in the bank. So making sure you have a bookkeeper in the US that is good, usually pay 30 to 40 bucks an hour, but they'll usually only work 5 to 10 hours a month, okay? But it's a very, very good investment. So that, to get a business or multiple businesses to 7 figures, and by 7 figures, I mean 7 figures a month, not just overall, and that's not to take anything away from people that do $1 million in a year, but we want to be aggressive because we want to grow these brands as quickly as we can, right? And the only way that we can do that is with having cash. This is the team that you're going to want, right? The basic team. There are a few people missing, but in terms of what you need just to run and sustain the company, this is going to be it, okay? So again, you want sustainable growth, but you want it to compound, right? So it's kind of hard to see, but let me try and just kind of walk and talk you through it, okay? The black line here is total revenue. This is kind of like how a year 1 should look for you guys, okay? And then you've got the blue line is drop shipping store 1, the green line is drop shipping store 2, right? So January, February, just 1 store. As you can see, right, it's slowly starting to pick up speed. Month 3, after we get proof of concept, which is, are we making money? I'm not just fluking this, right? I've got multiple products to launch, and I'm at a good, steady level of profit day in, day out, okay? Then you'll launch your second store. And then in April or May, you want to start planning for your brands, okay? So 3 months in, because by this time, you should have enough money that you can take the risk to invest, say, 25 grand into something, okay? And then as you can see, right, the drop shipping stores, same with anyone, the blue and the green line, it's always up and down, right? You have some months where you'll make like 750 grand and other months where you'll make like 350. One of the main reasons why we have 2 is because we tend to never have them both scale at the same time. So, we're running in slightly different niches for both of them. So again, it helps us spread our risk, right? Rather than putting all of our eggs in one basket, okay? And then as you can see, we just introduced our 3rd brand here at the end of the year, okay? So then year 2, you're gonna start to see the stuff with the drop shipping die off, right? Because the main reason being, right, it's a hard business model to run. It can be lucrative, but my goal as an entrepreneur, I wanna be running just brands, right? Because if my friends ask what I do, I don't want to send them to my dropshipping store, right? I don't want like my auntie buying makeup off a dropshipping store that I run because she's not going to get it for like 4 weeks, right? So, like I want to like show my friends and everyone like that you've really built something, right? And then at the end of year 2, right, if you look, you're bringing in like a lot of money just from 3 brands, and honestly, I would probably kill one of the drop shipping stores by the middle of the year because they take up too much time, and focus more on the brands, right? Because that's where you're going to be putting your energy, and you want your company to put the energy. But I would still have 1 drop shipping brand going. The reason why, because it's so good for testing, right? Like it's amazing. And then that way, if you have an amazing product that launches, I'm pretty sure it's what Vince did, then you can just spin it into a brand, right? You can make that extra effort, and it's not a lot of effort to run it into a brand, right? And then this way, if you look, how volatile the dropshipping brands are, right? We all experience that. And because you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's fucking horrible. However, you're gonna get way more consistency, because if you're getting 100 customers in August from your brands, you're gonna retain a certain number of those customers, whether it's 20, 30, or 50%. So that compounds, which means you can also pay more to acquire a customer because they're gonna come back. You're not just only relying on revenue or profit from the front end purchase. So yeah, I think that was super quick. But if any of you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you want to connect with me, Facebook's usually a good way to do it. My name on Facebook is actually Sam Luke, because my original Facebook got deleted from Mark Zuckerberg himself, I think. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to connect with me, feel free. But yeah, if you've got questions.
How do you manage your day-to-day prioritization when you're running multiple stores? Do you work on like blocks of time, one store each, or like one day, one store? How are you doing that?
So the reason why we build this team out in the Philippines is because it helps us automate. So those like day-to-day tasks that are key for like keeping the business alive, like launching products, adding product descriptions, it's all pretty much automated, right? So in terms of like when I wake up, my main thing I'm looking for every day, I'm looking at the numbers, and then I'm just looking at like innovation. And so Jad, he puts his energy more into making sure that the drop shipping side of it's still making money, right? And my energy is going into like the brand side, right? Making sure that that's all moving, making sure factories are actually manufacturing the products. So, you know, like there's no kind of mission critical tasks that are ever on us, right? We have all of that looked after.
What do you feel about when you're in like the starting phase of a new store before that whole infrastructure is established?
So it's hard, right? That's why. Could someone get me a bottle of water? Is that all right? Still got some. I think I got the fly juice.
This one is unopened. Here you go. Fly from part of the catering.
I know, man. So sorry. God. So early on, it's hard. That's why you have the VA come in, right? Because it's too much to do by yourself, really, and to do it well and to scale as quickly as you want to scale. So that's why I said you want $10,000 to start, and that's not just for ads. That's so you can start building your team and trying to do it quickly. So, you know, it's about, again, it's mainly about like how do you become a good manager, right? How do you help prioritize your own tasks and the tasks of someone else? So you're going to find yourself daily doing the same task day in, day out before you get a VA, right? If you've done what I said properly, which is documenting it, you're not going to have those issues, because then you know how important the tasks are by your KPIs, right? If everything is metric driven, it's very easy to go, okay, this needs to be done because we're not close to this metric, right? Try to keep everything like you do with your ads, keep everything data driven.
Awesome, thank you.
So let's just say you're doing like low six-figure, like a month, like 100K. All drop shipping, like you have a sourcing agent in China, and like you want to move to US. So like, how do you, or like kind of like transitioning from drop shipping, you know, from low six figures into like an actual like brand US fulfillment?
So I personally, I've done US fulfillment. I would avoid it because of everything that's going on at the moment, because everything that comes in from China is now subject to 10% taxes, right? And then that eats at your margins. So you have to charge, basically if it eats your margins, usually in some way you have to make the customer experience worse, or you suffer as a company, okay? You can get from China, you can get 4 to 5 day shipping, which is quicker than it is in the US. It's a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to deal with any of the headache. When you import a product, it's got to go through customs. And you've also got to worry about everything else, right? With like making sure you have the right certifications, everything, right? When you first start a brand, keep everything you can in China. Honestly, it's going to make your life a lot easier. People put too much focus on like having things in America. If you're going to try and manufacture in America, obviously it's different. But if you're going to manufacture in China, work with somebody to ship it out from there. Use DHL, they're the best people, DHL eCommerce. If they do volume, they can usually get a really good discounted rate.
How do you like increase profits? Like you do email marketing, SMS, Messenger?
So we honestly, the way we increase most of our profits, again, sourcing agent is going to save you a lot of money because, AliExpress, if you're say paying $5 for something on AliExpress for shipping, sure as hell you can get it from like even just 1 or 2 pieces from a wholesaler for like $3, right? So that makes a huge difference. So when we're actually doing product testing at the start, we'll get our sourcing agent to already find the prices on any product that we think is good. So that way we know the ROAS we have to hit to break even for our wholesale or private label pricing, okay? And then, in terms of increasing margins, the main thing we always do upsells, right? Always upsell the customer, especially when drop shipping, right? Mainly because it's free money, right? Remember, these customers are not going to come back. They're going to churn, right? The chance of you retaining a customer through drop shipping at like 20 or 30% like you would with a traditional brand is very, very low. So if the customer's not coming back, you've got to try and get as much from the customer in the only time they're there to purchase, right? So post-end upsells, use Carthook. Carthook's fantastic. As well, it doesn't take any of your money like one-click upsell does. One-click upsell takes like 1.5% on top, which eats your margins. Merchant processing, again, right? Everywhere you're saving like 1 or 2%, but it makes a huge difference, especially when you're doing volume. The other thing we do as well, which sounds quite insane, we just spend a lot of money, right? So the more money you spend, the more stable things tend to be. So for our dropshipping stores, they've stayed at over $1 million a month for the last like 6 months, right? Even this month, we're going to do $1 million, right? And it's all different products, but our products tend to run for a lot longer than the average lifespan that somebody has. They also tend to be way more consistent. We never lose money day to day. The worst we'll get is maybe down to 8%, but we'll usually do 8 to 35% depending on if a product's hot, right? So spending a lot of money, although it's hard to do that if you're not spending a lot of money, but having that ability to scale, which comes with cash flow, is really key because it gives you that stability long term.
Sure. And Carthook, that's like post-purchase upsell, it's like Digipon?
Yes, yeah. But they charge like $300 a month. They don't charge a fee.
It's like one-page checkout, right?
So they have the one-page checkout. I've not seen any difference, right, between multi-page, one-page, but it's all codable. So if you pay a developer, you can just have it custom coded.
For sure, thank you.
Cool, problem. Yeah.
In step 1 of your presentation, you mentioned that a good first goal to have would be 5K a day, 50% net for that, $750 a day.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the strategies you use for scaling from 0 to getting to that initial goal?
Yeah. So basically, the way I would approach it now is no different to how I approached it before, right? So essentially, I'll get a product, right? And again, I'll review it all, especially at the start. Everything has to be reviewed because you have to make sure, like, if you're getting your VA to do anything, it's up to your standard, right? You have to have a certain standard of excellence, and the only way that you're going to do that is by drumming it into your VA. Because if not, they'll get lazy super quick and they'll do the minimal, right? So what I'll do is, if everything's perfect and ready to go, I'll launch 6 ad sets, 6 interests, right? $35 a day. You can be creative with audiences. You can scrape data if you want. And use that. There's a few tools out there that allow you to do that, and then build custom lookalikes based off of other people's data. But keep it simple. 6 interests, right? $35 a day, and I'll run those for a minimum of 3 days. Okay, and I'll set up rules inside of Facebook, pretty basic rules, just to make sure that it's not terrible, right? So what I'm basically doing is I'm taking my rule sets are going to be if my add to cart's over $30. I'm probably going to turn it off, right? Because it usually means there's no demand for the product, okay? So I'm looking at that, and just to start, right, I'm running it for a minimum of 3 days. And I know if I'm making money consistently on day 1, 2, and 3, I know I'm on to a winner, right? Because too many people get excited when they make money on day 1, and they're like, I'm going to scale it without thinking about the long-term effects, right? You don't have enough money to go for statistical significance. You have to go for probability, right? Buying ads is essentially like buying on the stock market. You try to be as calculated as you can. So the only way that you can do it is one of the big variables is day, right? So people might buy things on a Monday, but they may not buy things on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So giving it 3 days gives you the best chance of success, or to be successful when you scale, right? Too many people scale too early and just blow it, and then just blame Facebook, right? But instead, they're just being naive and not using the data to help them make decisions, or they've got 6 ad sets running, 1 ad set's looking good and all the other 5 are trash. It's not going to scale, especially at low budgets, because you don't have the data, but also it's lucky, right? If you get ROAS is the most misleading metric inside of Facebook, right? When you're running at low budgets, make sure you're looking at your cost per add to cart, your add to cart conversion rate, right? So I'm always looking, if I can get my add to cart conversion rate between 15 to 30%, I know I'm onto a good product. I just need to tweak my funnel, right? So I'm running this product. It may lose me money over the first 3 days, but my add to cart rate is good, okay? So what I'm then gonna do is work out where in the funnel it's broken and kind of force it to work, right? So when we're launching products, we'll launch them for 3 days, but it can take us up to 2 weeks. Our last winner took 2.5 weeks to work, and it made us like 3 mil. Right? Killed it. But you have to get the funnel right. It's just about getting those formulas right. That's why using something like ClickFunnels, I wouldn't recommend using it now, but before, teaches you a really good lesson because it breaks down the funnel very, very, very simply so you can look at those metrics, but learn more about your funnel, right? If your top of funnel metrics are good, your click-through rate is good, your cost per click is good, perfect. People have shown an interest, right? And then you come through and then you look like, what's my add to cart rate? Is that good? Yes, people have shown an interest, but why aren't they purchasing? It might be your pricing. It could be your shipping, right? So making sure those work, and that then, it's pretty simple. The more successful products you have, the better. And so then if we get validation, right? So day 2, if day 1 looks good, we'll add 6 more interests, right? $35 a piece, auto bid. Day 3, same thing, 6 more interests, right? And then what we're doing is kind of giving us like mini scale, right? We just want to make sure that because we do mass market, we don't do niche, that it has appeal across every market, right? Or the majority of markets. And then what we'll do is after day 3, we'll then take that and we'll duplicate, say we've got a decent product, we'll duplicate the 5 best interests and we'll put them into their own campaign with campaign budget optimization, $1,000 a day, auto bid, and then they'll run, those 5 will run, okay? And then it's a bit complex, but stick with me. And then each day we're adding more interests, right? Because what we want is we want interest to scale into. And after 3 days, if an interest is making good money every day, then I'm gonna, again, take the next best 5, right, on the next day and put them into their own campaign budget optimization, $1,000 a day, right? And then those campaign budget optimizations with their own 5 ad sets in them, the ones that perform best, because I don't know how many of you do campaign budget optimizations, but you're basically giving Facebook the power to spread your budget across whichever interests you want, right? So then I'll take the best one of those and I'll put it into its own, even though it's just one interest, into its own campaign budget optimization campaign. Again, $1,000 a day, right? And by the end of like 2 weeks, you're starting to get to like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to spend a day, right? That's all it is, right? Scaling is really the easy part. You've just got to have, like, sorry to be crude, but you kind of got to have the bollocks to be able to just do it and not see the money as your money, right? Because if you have a product that works, if you put $1,000 into it, you're definitely going to make money back, right? But if you're only putting like $30 a day and then like changing the budget to like 40, you're just not going to scale quick enough, right? I'm all about like trying to scale as quickly as I can because I want to make as much money as I can. And also I know, especially if I'm drop shipping, everyone else is going to copy my shit. So I need to get out there and saturate the market before everyone else, right? And also if I'm spending big money, I know I'm going to get prioritization in the auction because who is Facebook giving priority to? Me, because I'm spending the most money, right? It's not going to give it to someone else spending $35, right? So I'm going to get the best customers or the best placement on the newsfeed, right? And everyone's going to see my ad first. That's why most of the guys I can see who have great products, right? And I know they're spending low budgets. I can go in there, take the product, get my own video made, and just run it and be way more successful than them, right? So really, you can go from, we went from kind of stage from 0 to our first month, we did $1 million, right? Just with this. And it's I promise you, it's really not hard to do, but you've got to know your data. You can't just look at ROAS, right? And be like, okay, it's done. You've got to know how to analyze the entire funnel. If you know how to analyze the entire funnel, which every good marketer should, you'll be successful, right? It's a numbers game. It's just about tweaking the numbers so they're in your favor so you make money. Yeah.
Do you still run into problems at like the $1 million a month level with payment processes with Facebook showing you now?
Facebook, no, because we run everything clean,
exactly.
Right? But we have issues, right? Like we had an issue a while ago with fraud. so Facebook would just stop our accounts to get reviewed. Super fucking annoying, but you just got to suck it up and get on with it, right? But this is why, I didn't tell you guys this, but we have 20 bloody ad accounts.
Yep.
So what we're basically doing is we have 2 testing ad accounts, and then we scale into different ad accounts, right? So if an ad account goes down, anything happens, we have backup ad accounts, okay? I always think, what's the worst thing that can happen, and be prepared for it, because if you only use one ad account and it goes down, no money again, right? In terms of payment processes, it's shit. PayPal sucks, right? We have I think a 20% hold of PayPal. They're holding like 400 grand of our money at the moment. The bank as well, who we use, Bank of America, has a hold. But again, right, this is why you're prepared, because you have cash in the business, right? You're not taking it all out. You're not doing stupid stuff with the money, right? The business holds the money. So then when the worst inevitably happens, which it will, with PayPal especially, because they make money off of loaning your money out. Yeah, right? Yeah. So they want to hold your money. They want you to be successful because then they can hold it and then loan it, right? And PayPal is just the lesser of two evils.
Like easier as you move up? Okay, so
it gets harder. It gets harder. Things get held, but this is why, again, right? Like the real reality of like a lot of these guys who are doing like $1 million a month, it's hard. You know, like you're very wealthy, but in terms of like extracting that wealth from the business, it can be difficult. Yeah, especially if you want to try and grow it, right? If you're just extracting it each month, cool, but one bad thing happens and the business is gone, and then your money runs out, you're done, right? So that's why like you gotta keep as much money as you can, just basic business sense, because when that does happen, and it definitely will with every single person in this room, some people it may not happen until you earn $1 million a month, others you may get unlucky when it'll happen when you hit 20 grand a month, right? It's literally who is looking at your PayPal account, who is looking at your merchant account, right? It's sad, but that's just the real reality of it. But the only thing that's going to make you safe is if your business has cash. All right?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah.
I have like a few questions, but hopefully they have like short answers to them.
Yeah.
First, I hope you don't mind me asking, when you say that you compensate your employees well, like how much do you compensate them? Because they're like in the Philippines, so their wages are a lot lower.
Yeah.
What would you consider like a good wage for like a video editor or like customer service, something like that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So our stud, our main VA, she gets profit sharing, and she also gets I think we pay like $8 an hour, which I know is not a lot of money, but out there, that's a lot of money, right? And she, like, I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she lives a pretty cool lifestyle, right? She has a great time. I think she might be buying your Lambo from you soon, Vince. But no, she's great, but she works really hard for that, okay? And then when we hire someone new, we'll usually pay about $4, right? But if they're good, so we usually have like a 3-month, like, warming up process to see how good they are. So we'll start them on $4, but we'll quickly promote them or quickly give them pay increases. Like this year, we gave everyone, I think it was a 75 cents pay increase an hour, right? So now everyone, I think most people on our team earn about $5 an hour, but they get, there's awards given out each month. We always give them like the 13th month. So at Christmas, they get an extra, month of wages. And we just generally look after them, right? If they ever have any issues, like they can come to us and we'll always look after them. Irrelevant if they're here. We're flying out to go and see them as well in the next couple of months, so they can actually like get to know us better as people.
Second question, you said that you give them like monthly awards. Like what kind of awards? Like is it like monetary or like?
Yeah. So we'll get them together, like they'll have dinner and stuff if they're in the same place. If not, we'll like let them go out for dinner and we'll cover it. But yeah, it's usually just monetary, right? And it's like as simple as like $50. So like best customer support agent, right? And the cool thing is our head of customer service will pick that person. So, like it's building a bond between the team, but also like motivating them and getting gratification from your peers, which especially out there, people treat the guys out in the Philippines just like fucking cogs in a wheel, right? And they don't care about their well-being, whereas, like just paying them a little bit extra, like, if you're paying them $3 a month and never speaking to them versus paying an extra like $5 grand a month for a team of 28 to make sure they're happy and motivated makes a way bigger difference, and they're willing to work all the hours under the sun, because you look after them, you feed their families, and you give them a good life.
Okay, thank you. Third question, what works and stuff, but I've had a very hard time kind of conveying that to an outsourced video editor. And I've like kind of tried to compile like a Google Doc and like kind of explain it and go on like calls with them and try to like explain my logic. And even through like the course of a few months, they're still not quite getting it. Like, how would you like kind of train someone like?
So stockpile videos that are good, right? Go to brands that you love and get their videos, or just find videos that crush it, right? And keep those and use those as an educational tool. And then, the only other thing you can do, like if you're trying for 3 months and are you using just one person, or have you used multiple?
We used multiple. We kind of like bounced back because like just some people they didn't lack like work ethic, and others they had talent, like they knew how to edit, but they just couldn't grasp the idea of like it's a marketing video, not like a cinematic kind of thing.
So honestly, like you just got to tell them, right, to put their like ego aside, because that's what it comes down to, right? Them wanting to give something to you that's like really beautiful and polished. Most of our best videos are like super crappy quality, right? But like you got to. What I would do is you could start incentivizing them as well. So you can say, right, if you have a video that's a winner, like we'll give you X amount more a month, right? And easy because like the money's there, right? The economics make sense of you doing that. If not, that's why I said try to learn it. I know it's a pain in the ass, but YouTube, just go on there, learn how to use Premiere Pro. It's really not very difficult. Or iMovie, like it's all there. Worst case scenario, honestly, like use John's team, like fantastic. They'll shoot all the content for you, right? Like it'll all be done. And it's pre-packaged, right? And it's like affordable as well. But yeah, work with them, learn how to do it, get what you want, and then that way, like it's way easier to describe how to do it when you understand it, right? It's like engineering. I'm terrible at speaking to engineers because I don't know what it looks like under the hood, right? How to code. Whereas an engineer or a project manager for an engineer is very good at speaking to them. So if you're still struggling, try to find somebody that's good at it. If not, right, that's better at communicating with them, because that's probably what it comes down to. Yeah, no problems. I think you had a question first.
I guess kind of like a three-part but more bullet point. To get Filipino workers, jobsite.ph. Do you suggest that, or where do you source your?
So yeah, your first one, like try Upwork, try the Philippine, like whichever one, right? It doesn't matter. But, like the first one, and then if they're good, get them to refer their friends, right? If they enjoy it, they're going to refer their friends, right? Because all their friends are going to want to work for you because you offer the best working environment.
Secondly, hourly to salary, do you suggest hourly? And if so, what's the best time tracker that you found to be able to make sure that they're working? Does it do computer screen record, or is it just them tracking the time?
So we just changed it. I don't know what we changed it to. I think we used Golands before, but we changed it to something else. Follow up with me and I'll tell you. I need to ask. Again, our VA does all of that, right? She basically is like a honcho. She like makes sure everybody's working and is productive, right? And it's great. And then, was there another part to the question?
It was just hourly to salary.
Oh yeah, so we keep everyone hourly, apart from when we promote them to like head positions. The reason being, if they want to work 80 hours a week and I know they're being productive, I don't care if I pay them hourly because I know they're going to be making me money in the long run, okay? So the cool thing is it incentivizes them to work longer hours as well, okay? But then in terms of like pushing to salary, just have an honest conversation with them, right? Because especially with our head VA who was like earning $8 an hour, it does start to add up if she's doing 80 hours a week. That's why we switched to like a basic 40-hour salary, right? But she gets, if the teams are hitting their KPIs, she will then get money for that.
Do you pay them OT over it?
Like overtime?
Yeah.
No, they just get paid $4 an hour, right?
Okay, cool. Are they all in one office, or do you have them all remote?
No, they work our time. So I could not imagine how horrendous it would be getting out of bed at like 2 a.m. to go into an office and sit with other tired, miserable people. So no, we don't do that, but that's why we bring them together, right? Because I want there to be a real culture between them. And now every time we bring them together, they all have like a really great time, which for me it's really just fulfilling anyway to see that and to see what a difference you're making to people in their lives. But also like it's just great for them because like they feel looked after, and like they all now that they hang out outside of work, which is great because they still talk about work, and like they actively solve problems together, and they actively push each other to critically think, right? So it's really, really good. Look after people and they'll look after you, 100%.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, guys. Last question, because we're kind of holding Sam hostage right now. We have a new speaker that's ready. Jackie's going to go on right after. So last question, please.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so if you have a winner you want to take to a brand, right? You want packaging, customization. Who do you go to? Who's that person?
So I have a guy out in China, which if you're doing enough volume, come to me. Like basically, like I mentioned, if you're doing over like 10 to 15K a day consistently, let me know. However, if you don't, you can go through Alibaba, you can try and find a broker, you can try and source the factories yourself, but it takes time, right? That's why 3-month window, even with my guy, who will find me a list of 15 factories and get samples within 3 days, right? Versus like having to go through and do it. But do it and understand it, right? Because that way, again, if you do get a broker, he's not going to play you for a fool, right? Because at the end of the day, right, they know if they can make money off some American dude, why would they not do that? So honestly, get to the point where you need, where you're making a few, $5,000 a day, and then start thinking, okay, now I have enough money, I can take that risk, right? Because if you say invested 5 or 10 grand right now in a product, would that make you broke? The answer is yes, it's not the right time to do it, right? Stick to the most low risk option until you have the cash. But there are plenty of ways to do it. But I was just fortunate enough to have found my guy literally on Facebook, and he's really good. The other thing you can do as well is when you're using AliExpress, if you have somebody on there who's like super responsive, their English is good. So if you're scaling a winner, right, start messaging all these people and just tell them like, yo, like, can I get a discount because I'm putting a lot of business through your store, and then build a relationship with them. That's the first thing that we did. And we had a guy in China, he's pretty good, not the best, not like we have now, but he saved us a lot of money. We could negotiate with him. He would give us like net payments as well. So he would basically fulfill all of our products, and then we would just pay him in like one lump sum through AliExpress. So if you do notice like your fulfillment time is good on a certain product, like reach out to those people, and hopefully their English is good, and start building kind of connections out there. And then that way, if you have a new winner, you can go to them with it and say, hey, can you source this for me? If so, how much is it, right? And they'll start doing that. And you can even get them to custom make products, get custom packaging made, everything, right? They'll do it if you pay them, right? It's as simple as that. Chinese people are very money driven. So as long as you chump up the change, they'll do it, right? Cool. All right. We done?
Yeah.
Cool.